Hi everyone! Today we'll explore the basic parameters of HUD and UI elements, including squares, rectangles, and polygons. Additionally, we'll cover global transforms, animation baking, and mesh conversion. Let's dive in. To add a square, go to the Add menu. From the drop-down, select HUD and UI elements, then punctual elements, and finally square. The base parameter adjusts the overall size of the square. You can center the square along the x-axis, y-axis, or both. Like other punctual elements, it includes parameters such as centered, fill, thickness, evolution, and intro types. For a detailed explanation of these parameters, check out our video on triangles linked in the cards above. In addition, global transforms are present in all HUD and UI elements. Global transforms can be applied to position, rotation, and scale. The position parameter is a basic movement parameter. This parameter will allow to offset the element's center. Global rotation and scale will respectively allow the adjustment of concerned parameters relative to the center set by X, Y, and Z global position. In this case, with position set to 0 on X, Y, and Z, the element rotates and scales along its center. Now setting X to 0.1 and Y to 0.1, it can be expected that the element will behave the same. Now let's talk about animation baking. To improve portability, all generated animations can be baked into the mesh. Animation can only be baked if the animated checkbox is active. Let's activate it and set up a basic animation. Before baking, the animation start frame and end frame need to be set accordingly. In this case, I will set the animation start to 30 and the animation end to 90. This will create an animation that is 60 frames long. Now, let's bake the animation by clicking on the Bake Animation button. Upon completion, the element will be converted to a regular mesh, and the animation will be converted to regular shape keys. It's important to note that the conversion time is linearly dependent on the element's complexity. More complex objects will take longer to bake. Now let's talk about mesh conversion. This set of operators allows the conversion from HUD and UI elements to a regular mesh. By clicking on Convert to Ordinary Mesh, the object is temporarily converted to a regular mesh. In this state, the element parameters won't be accessible until it is restored by clicking on Restore Parameters. As the name suggests, permanently convert to ordinary mesh will permanently convert the element to a regular mesh. This operation can only be reversed by undo. With that said, let's check out the parameters for rectangles and polygons. To add a rectangle, go to the Add menu. From the drop-down, select HUD and UI elements, then punctual elements, and finally, rectangle. A rectangle is defined by its width and length. Just like a square, the rectangle can also be centered along the x-axis, y-axis, or both. Now, let's move on to polygons. The first two polygons, the pentagon and hexagon, are both defined by a base parameter. They are the simplest forms of ngons with no additional unique parameters. To add an pentagon, go to the Add menu. From the drop-down, select HUD and UI Elements, then Punctual Elements, and finally Pentagon. As mentioned before, the base parameter defines the overall size of the element. Similarly, a hexagon can be created by going to the Add menu. From the drop-down, selecting HUD and UI Elements, then Punctual Elements, and finally Hexagon. The hexagon is also defined solely by its base size. Finally, to add an ngon, go to the Add menu. From the drop-down, select HUD and UI Elements, then Punctual Elements, and finally ngon. An ngon can be defined by its radius and its number of sides. Technically, equilateral triangles, squares, pentagons, and hexagons can be created from an ngon by setting the appropriate number of sides. Additionally, if the arcs checkbox is activated, the element is represented by a set of arcs. The radius parameter still represents the overall size of the element, but the number of sides now represents the number of subdivisions for each arc. In this case, as its name suggests, the number of arcs parameter defines the total count of arcs. The arc angle refers to the angle of each individual arc. The angle parameter sets the global angle of the elements. The result is n arcs equally distributed along the angle span. On one hand, this may be the desired result. On the other hand, if you want the arcs distributed from the start to the end of the given angle, this can be achieved by activating the Stretch checkbox. This is especially useful for unclosed angles. That's it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.